And we are live. Welcome on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana. We are coming to you on the Smart Money Culture TV network, as well as joining from around the world on X, on LinkedIn, YouTube, and the rest. So we finished a great day at Consensus yesterday. It feels like last night. Austin is 1 hour behind, behind where I normally am. So we are here. It's good to be in Texas doing the show, and I'll tell you, Consensus was pretty amazing yesterday, and I expect it to be very, very good today as well. Pretty much all the important people are here. You have just let me see here. I'm just sharing my stuff. From the big government people to the funds and everything else. Of course, we have our gala as well tonight, so we're looking forward to that. That should be pretty awesome. Our Washington Elite Gala will be here at the JW Marriott, where I am right now. There is still time to get some tickets if you want to come. There's today and tomorrow that we have the. Let me just see here. Edit. Where's my edit button? Today and tomorrow that we have Consensus, so there's still time. But the first day was absolutely fantastic, and I expect that to continue. We'll be doing interviews again today there at the Genius AI booth. All right. We have some great ones that we did, and I'll probably play one on the show today. So we'll see. We also have Matt Dixon, the great Matt Dixon, joining us. The markets have continued to slide as the dollar has gained. Dollar seeing significant gains over the last 24 hours, and that has caused risk assets to pull. Of course, my no longer favorite meme coin Jenner was a dumpster fire yesterday, and you never put in more than you can lose, right? They decided, I guess, there was some issues with the developer, which I talked a little bit about yesterday, taking off the coin. So I don't know who in the world that Jenner is talking to or is helping him out, but he needs to fire them. So they decided to launch a new Jenner token on Ethereum, and of course the price completely tanked. Doesn't mean it'll stay there. I think probably he'll buy back, but even talking about buybacks, I don't really think you're supposed to do that. So anyway, a bit of a dumpster fire over there. Good morning. It's nice to see you. But as well, you've everything's down. Gold is. Let me see here. Actually, I was just looking. Oil was down slightly, although oil looks like it's been having a pretty good week. Let's see here. Yeah, everything's down. And the dollar was up about a third of a percent, which is a lot for the U.S. dollar in a 24-hour range. Trump continues to just be under fire. Of course, yesterday you had his lawyer, his law team, and his son going on the mic there, talking different things. I don't know if he really is going to. I don't know. I mean, it seems like he's probably going to be indicted or convicted. I'm not sure. Alina Habiba had a few things to say about it. I'm not so up to date on everything because, of course, I have been very busy here. But let's look at a couple of the clips that I have queued up over here, and we can see what Alina Habba, his lawyer there, has to say here. Right here. Here we go. Trump.
Listen, but the Biden administration is not responsible for this trial.
How can you say the Biden administration is not responsible?
It's a state. Listen, but the Biden administration is not responsible for this trial.
How can you say the Biden administration is not responsible
It's a state.
for this trial?
It's a state trial. It's Alvin Bragg. Whether you think there's a political motive for him, it's not connected to the DOJ. I mean,
Shannon,
the feds passed on these election charges.
Shannon, you should look at how many logs they have of state officials, Letitia James, Fannie Willis, visiting the White House, and then tell me that this is not a Biden trial. I don't
Feds
care.
pass on this case is the point I'm
You're
making.
right. The feds passed on this case. Also, DA Cy Vance passed on this case, and
Years
frankly,
ago, and then it came back.
Bragg passed on this case. You know when it came back? When he decided to run for office. So tell me how that's not an indication that Joe Biden, who just sent his campaign down here with Robert De Niro yesterday, isn't a part of this. Frankly, any question that we had of that was squashed yesterday. And if you have even more concerns about whether he's involved in this, look at the fact that he is literally publicizing for tonight to have a speech if a verdict comes out. That's a sad state of affairs. Meanwhile, our country is falling apart. He's got.
So I would say if President Biden is saying that he's going to have a speech once the verdict comes out, that it's pretty cooked, which I've kind of been saying for a while. But now that Congress has been, all the Congress people have been there, I thought that maybe it wouldn't, but they put it down here. President Trump, this is Senator Ted Cruz. President Trump's trial is not about law and justice. It's about politics and Democrats. I can imagine Joe Biden's press conference at the White House where he gloats about convicting Trump. This is the most brazen case of election interference in American history. This is Senator Ted
Listen,
Cruz.
Sean, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is the exchange you were just having with Jonathan Turley is exactly right. We now know to a virtual certainty that no conviction will be upheld on appeal, that the judge today committed, I think, clear reversible error. These jury instructions were nonsense. Now, here's the bad news. The bad news is this has been a kangaroo court from the beginning. This is a wildly partisan prosecutor who hates Donald Trump, who came with a political objective of going after Donald Trump. And we now know from these jury instructions that this judge is every bit the partisan that the prosecutor is. And he knows this is reversible error. As you noted, Ramos versus Louisiana clearly held in 2020 that every element of the crime must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, must be unanimous by the jury. And yet this judge says it doesn't matter, not in New York. The Constitution does not apply in New York, which means if we get a conviction, it will be reversed on appeal. But the judge doesn't care. The prosecutor doesn't care. Nobody cares because this is not about law. This is not about criminal justice. This is about politics. This is all about the press conference, the national address that Joe Biden has scheduled to give from the White House, where he gloats, we've now convicted Donald Trump. This is all about November. We are watching election interference. This is the most blatant case of election interference that we've ever seen in our country's history.
I'd have to agree with them on most of those points. Ted Cruz is one of those guys who says a lot of stuff, but yeah. So what he's talking about, or what the judge said, is basically yesterday the judge said that even if it's not unanimous or whatever, he still can convict Trump. So kind of the whole thing is thrown out the window, or if it's not unanimous. That's what he said here. Let's see here. New York judge has changed the law instrument. Yeah, here we go. This.
Well, let me ask you about the three choices. And one thing in particular that this judge said that these jurors could do. He just delivered what is being called really the pinnacle of all of this. He said that there is no need to agree on what has occurred. They can disagree on what the crime was among the three choices. Thus, this means that they could split 4-4-4, and the judge would still treat them unanimously. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, it's really outrageous because in a normal criminal case, every statutory crime has what we call elements of the offense. Like in a bank robbery case, it's, you have to rob. It's got to be a financial institution. You have to show intent. Those are the things the jury has to agree on unanimously that they were proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Here, what we're doing is taking the element that actually makes this a felony. Because remember, falsification of records is normally a misdemeanor in New York. What makes it a felony is that you're concealing or committing another crime. And here the judge is telling them they don't have to agree about what the other crime is under circumstances where that not only is what makes this a felony, what makes it a 4-year potential prison penalty rather than a year or less, but it's also what gets us into the courtroom. Because if this had been a misdemeanor, the time to bring this case would have lapsed in 2019. So the only reason they're still able to bring this case is because it's a felony, allegedly. And yet now the judge is saying, you don't have to agree on what the felony is.
So it's pretty, I mean, this is like, we're in like really in no man's land territory here. Let me just pull this down for a second. This has never happened in the United States. And I'm not obviously any type of a legal person, but, when they have the guy on trial, so the guy, I mean, in some respects, like, it's like I say, right? I mean, I'm a Trump guy. I've always been a Trump guy, but he does, in some respects, he's his own worst enemy, right? Bangs the porn star. Of course, that comes back to haunt him. Then, I guess, by appearances anyway, pays to keep her quiet. And, of course, that comes back to haunt him. Now, are any of these things that he did worse than what Bill Clinton did back when I was a kid, back when I was a teenager? No. Why is he in New York, or what anybody else has done? I mean, let's put that out there too. Why is he in New York under trial, during an election year? I have to say it's probably, they're trying to interfere with the election. So we're in a pretty tight spot here, pretty interesting spot here in the United States. A lot of it comes with the central bank control that we've talked about time over time. Even like guys like Ted Cruz, which I've been kind of back and forth on Ted Cruz, but I think in general he's a good guy. But you look at a guy like Ted Cruz, and everybody kind of has to walk the line. Like, if you don't walk the line in this country, you don't make it. And walking the line consists of a few different things, and even like myself, like I am at times will buck the system quite a bit, but at the same time, I know that if I'm not in line for some things, that I'm not able to do certain things. And so it's an interesting situation that we have. I always thought that when I was a kid, they had like, how could Russia live under this, where they're spying on them all the time, and they're in East Germany, and then here we are, with the much worse, I would say, or at least as bad of a surveillance state and a police state as they had in communist Russia and communist East Germany. We have to figure a way out of it. It's one of the reasons why I get on TV and I do this show every time. One of the reasons why I think Fly Mackey's here, the great Fly Mackey with our TV station, for letting us on the air. And at first he told me as well, Bruce, I want you to keep it, just don't touch certain topics and everything else. And then we did some shows, and of course, I'm pretty good, but I'm real. That's one of the reasons why people like me, right? I'm a real guy. And he told me, Bruce, don't change anything. You keep doing what you're doing. You keep it up. Don't change anything. And so hats off to him. He'll be here. He is here. We'll be at the conference together. We'll probably do an interview, tape it. He's going to be at the gala tonight. Really looking forward to it. And we have the great Matt Dixon here. Matt Dixon is going to talk about the markets. Matt, how are you?
Oh, hey, good morning. I was just looking through the markets, actually. I was looking at your Genacoin. What a crash.
Oh, man, what a dumpster fire, man. Oh, my gosh. I'm glad it was on HTX, so I had some take profit set in on that stuff, but on some of the other stuff, I didn't. But, yeah, I mean, who in the world, and then I listened to the space He did a space afterwards. And this is like, I mean, is he going to get in trouble? Like, he might get in trouble. He really might get in trouble. He's like, well, we're still going to, and then we're going to do buybacks, and, we're still going to support the other coin. But I mean, basically everybody that went in, all the traders, all the investors that went in on the Solana coin, he's like, whatever. And then he had one guy on, and he's like, well, are you guys going to, he goes something like, well, everyone just wants to make money. And he's like, well, we just don't want to lose money. Anyway, it's a dumpster fire.
Yes, I'm just sharing my screen. I hope you can see it.
Okay, hold on. Let me add it on here. Oh, look at this thing.
just for Bruce. So we've actually saw, it's just over 2 days it fell. Fallen, we can see here, 85 points, just over 85% in a couple of days. So it was an absolute, we warned. Anyway, everybody knows, Bruce knows, we all know, these meme coins are massive risk, and especially the ones promoted by this guy.
Well, my wife told me, Bruce, if you're up, you better sell. That guy's crazy. I won't even tell you everything she said. I should listen to my wife. My wife is almost always right.
Yeah, if only we listen to our wives.
I know. I know. Just ask them; they'll tell you.
Yeah. So this was on Pump.fun, wasn't it? And we talked about that a couple of days ago. I mean, I actually thought that there's supposed to be things inbuilt in there so that there isn't, it reduces the potential for dumping.
Well, I mean, look. The other part of why one of the reasons I was really kind of bullish and went in more was because he got on so many big exchanges, but everybody was willing to give him the chance, just like I was. It's like, well, all right, hey, I mean, the guy's done a lot, as I said, he was like, so he wanted to win so bad that he was faster than the fastest man in the world, than all the fastest men in the world. And I mean, that is something to me, you have to try really hard to do stuff like that. And so I thought, but just really bad advice this guy has. But, it almost sounded like, even on the call or on the space, like, he's still listening to those people. And it sounded kind of like one of those people that's a little insulated from reality and, relying on someone to tell them, what's right. Why not make a bridge? Well, we're scared about the bridge is going to get hacked. Bridges are the most, and this isn't him talking, this is some other person. The most vulnerable thing. I mean, guys, yeah, sure, bridges get hacked, but I mean, there's bridges built every day. You can't just leave all of your supporters, in the wind like that. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
they should have hired us, Matt. We would have told them.
Absolutely.
Plus, Solana is so hot. Why would you then switch to Ethereum? I mean, that as well. I mean, Ethereum's great, but like, yeah, you have Solana with zero fees almost, like very, very small fees, and you're going to switch to Ethereum, and your whole community's on Solana. You're going around the world talking about Solana summer, and then anything. Yeah. So anyway, all right. What are we looking at now? This is Bitcoin.
Yeah, don't really understand the thinking behind that, but anyway, someone's made a lot of money out of it. I guess that's the thinking behind it. So we've said for a couple of days that we were expecting this bit of a Bitcoin turn down. That's precisely what we've had. And actually, I'll jump just over to the SPX because we also said SPX was on a correction, and that did actually materialize yesterday. If you look on the daily, you can see
SPX is the US dollar index for people that don't want
the S&P 500 here.
I'm sorry, you're right. DXY is the it's early. It's early over here.
It's okay. So we can see there we got that very big red candle. That's precisely what we predicted yesterday because we could see when we looked on the shorter time frames, and I'll just click onto a shorter time frame so we can see. We got basically 5 waves down, got 3 waves higher, and then we're expecting a further 5 waves down. That may not be quite complete. So I think we're probably set to go a little bit lower. And the most common relationship, as I've said, is if this is going to be the C wave down here, so you get an A, B, C down correction, normally the most common is that the C wave equals the A wave. And if that happens, we measured the A wave from the top here to the bottom here, that's the A wave. We transpose it to the top of the B wave. And then that gives us a target for the C wave here of 5227 for the S&P 500. So we'll see what happens today. We've got big news out today. GDP, the estimate again of the GDP, it's actually way lower. They keep revising it down and down. So let's see what it comes out at today. It does appear that the US economy is showing signs of slowing. But the big news is tomorrow, the PCE number. And PCE is basically the Fed's preferred measure. So that is really going to drive the markets because it drives interest rate expectations. So if we do have PCE falling off a cliff or going lower, that will tell us that obviously inflation's under control. But then there's the two sides of the equation. GDP is basically more a measure of growth. So if we see GDP falling today and we see PCE falling tomorrow, it's a bit of a counterbalance. We want PCE to fall because we want inflation to fall. It's still, even PCE, the Fed's preferred measure, is 2.7, 2.8%, which the target rate is 2%. So they're still way, way above target. I mean, 35%, 40% above the target that they've set themselves. So we want PCE lower. Yes,
yeah,
Bruce?
it's like this is a whole it's like a culmination of bad numbers that are more than likely we're looking at coming out here.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're seeing lower GDP, I think the likelihood is we'll see lower PCE, the inflation measure. We want to see lower inflation because we want the Fed to have the room to be able to maneuver to lower interest rates. Because if the economy is slowing, and slower GDP would tell us the economy is slowing, we want to stimulate the economy, so we want lower interest rates. And as we said yesterday, they started off saying we're going to have 5 rate reductions this year. Then it went to 4, then it went to 3, and then Bruce was at some important meeting the other day where you heard it being bandied around. It's now 2 interest rate reductions. So
I think we'll be lucky if we get 2 even.
Absolutely, lucky if we get 2. So the fact is, we may not be getting the soft landing that people are looking for. If we cannot get inflation under control, then the worrying scenario is that if growth is falling and inflation is not really falling, then we have stagflation. That is a combination of stagnant growth with inflation. That is the worst case scenario. The last time that really happened, really badly, was in the early 1970s, a period of stagflation. It was absolutely horrible for stocks and for markets at the time, and didn't do well at all. So we don't want to see that, and especially, I guess, Biden doesn't want to see it in the election year. So they will do what they can, and they'll probably do more money printing on the quiet, more quantitative easing somehow to create more money in the system. But they've got to be careful because obviously more money in the system likely means inflation will stay elevated. And so they are really walking a tightrope. I've said this over and over. I mentioned it on X today, that the Fed are walking a tightrope because they're trying to balance inflation and growth. And they're two opposing things. That when you try to reduce one, you increase the other. And when you try to increase the one, you reduce the other. So it's very, very difficult for them in this particular situation. And the reason it's difficult is because they printed so much money back in 2008-9. And then when the economy started to slow, we got COVID, and they just printed again. So there's so much money swirling around, washing around in the system. That's why we have seen inflation way above the actual figures that they're presenting to us, the 2-3%, whatever. We know, and Bruce knows, and has said it on previous shows, that the actual inflation rate that we're experiencing is way, way higher. And that's because the amount of money sloshing around in the system. Now, that's been good in some ways for risk assets. It's not that good for the economy. So there's a kind of multiplier effect. When you create this free money, printing money, it tends just to go into the easiest way to make money, into risk assets. So that's why we've seen Bitcoin very recently at all-time high, crypto's pumping, but also the stock market's pumping really well. Even property prices are still well elevated, but this is a dangerous situation to be in. And when you're in these situations at the top of a market, that's when you need to worry. Not saying you need to panic, but you need to be very, very aware of what the markets are doing, where we're at in the cycle. And I suspect that we're getting near the end of this bull cycle. I do think we've got still further to go. So just looking at the S&P here, this, if it's a 535 down, so if it is an ABC down, that is just a correction, and it means we still have new all-time highs yet to come on the S&P 500. So even if we get a bit of short-term bad news with PCE or GDP, pushes the market down a bit lower. I mean, 100% would be 5227. It could extend to 1.618. That's also a reasonably common relationship, wave C to wave A. And then that would be 5169. So potentially even a bit lower. So if we get, not such good news next couple of days. But even so, we're looking most likely at an ABC down still, and then you'd still expect a further impulsive move to the upside to take us above the previous all-time high. So new all-time highs are still on the cards, and these pullbacks are probably just DCA opportunities, time opportunities to add a bit more to your bag, fill your bags a bit more with various assets in a diversified, safe, well-managed, well-risk-managed way. So these are just opportunities. But the fact is, we called these pullbacks. We called the ABC pullback here. We called it in Bitcoin. Once again, we called it, saying basically we had this 3 down, 3 up. We're expecting a movement down. Just an opportunity to fill your bags. Probably not an opportunity to add during this wave at the moment. But as we approach the potentially the bottom here and maybe a bit beyond, we can potentially look on a risk-reward basis to add to your positions. But again, be careful, because we have a level here I've shown by the dotted line. If we drop below that, that is a previous very, very important point. This spike high that we see here, very, very important point. If we breach that with the price down, then potentially that opens the way for lower. So risk-reward wise, just above this line, potentially jumping into positions, dollar cost averaging, whatever, with stop losses just below. So if we break below this into this territory here, price territory below the dotted line, then potentially it's going to go lower. So that's why you'd have your stop loss there, potentially just to protect yourself. But from a risk reward, you'd have potentially small risk of loss if you have your stop loss close, maybe a unit of 1, with the units to the upside. That if you think of that much in price down with this much price up, you've probably got 20 to 1 risk reward ratio. And not only 20 to 1 risk reward in terms of how much you potentially gain compared with how much you potentially lose, but also the chances of bouncing from this just above this dotted line are much higher than the chances of breaking through it to the downside. So you have 20 to 1 on the rewards, but you also have some sort of odds in your favor in terms of the chances of breaking higher are more than the chances of breaking lower. So they're the sorts of trades that I look for, but it doesn't mean you'll win the trade. It's all about probabilities, and we're just looking at probabilities here. So you might lose on the trade, but all we're saying is you might lose a small amount, the potential to gain is much higher. So that's kind of a few of the trading little systems that I tend to employ, because trading is actually all about risk reward. All of these tools that I use, Elliott wave analysis, divergence, moving averages, whatever tools you tend or prefer to use, they're just tools. Nothing is 100%. Nobody knows the markets or the future for certain. And so these tools just give you a bit of an edge, perhaps, but you need your risk reward to ensure that you don't lose too much when things go wrong. We'll just take a quick look through the memes. I probably will look at a couple of others, but the memes, Bonk has taken a really big fall overnight, down over 8%, and that's one of the ones that has really rallied a lot recently. And after these falls, if we do see a turnaround in the market, this will likely become one of the big gainers. But never try to catch a falling knife, as the saying goes. So when we're seeing something falling rapidly like this, don't just think automatically, oh, it's going to bounce. It could actually fall a lot further, like Jenna coin. If people had seen that fall in 10% and jumped in, even on the day, it's down 60%. So just because you see a big negative doesn't mean buy. You normally wait, you'll normally look at a chart and see if there's good reasons for it to bounce higher. You'll look at the economic news and say, is there a good reason for the markets to turn around again? So at the moment, we can see across the board, and there's only a couple in green here. Bitcoin has just broken back into positive territory slightly, but it's still down a lot over the past couple of days. But in general, everything's down. We need to look at where the next driver is coming from. Markets tend not to move without a particular driver there. And those drivers can be fundamental, like the news that we're expecting with GDP and with PCE and all those other economic metrics. They can be geopolitical, like Israel, Iran, whatever, all those geopolitical issues. Or they can be very sort of independent to a particular token. So it can be sort of internal news, which is fundamental news. It is fundamental news, but I count it as different when it's sort of, you can look at on-chain metrics, or you can look at particular news announcements that come out about a particular coin. So there's all different categories of information that you need to monitor to help inform your trades in the best possible way to give you the best chances of making profits. So Solana is one of the lesser losers recently, but potentially we could have further to go. Again, we've got support levels. This has been a support last couple of times it's been tested. So there's a kind of support around there, around this dotted line, which is a longer term support as well. But if we break through there, again, it could open the way lower. And if this count is correct, and if we do have wave one, so you've got basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give us a wave one, then ABC wave two. So potentially there's lower to come. So I'm a little bit worried and concerned that the news might not be good that we're getting, the economic news that we've got coming up, GDP and PCE might not be good, might not be in our favor. So this is why traders tend to tread water. They don't like taking big positions ahead of news releases like this, because it's a big risk. And traders typically want to avoid undue risk, unless you want to gamble. But again, you need your risk reward tight if you're going to gamble on a particular outcome. So there's potential for more downside, but it's not definite. And again, with the news coming up, we just need to be cautious. So oil has taken a bit of a downturn, and we're probably best to look on a slightly longer term chart on oil there. You can see in general, it's actually quite constructive from this support line here. And on a daily, it's quite important to look at daily closes. So I looked at a 4-hour chart a minute ago, but what's really important is looking at a daily close. When you've got something like this, we had an ABC down here, price tested down to here and didn't break it. And we see that became a pivot point and an area of support for the oil price. So we virtually tested it here on 4 occasions, and every single one of those, we failed to close below this support line here, this dotted line. And so this once again becomes one of those very important areas of risk reward, where if you get close to this dotted line here, which is the support line, you can potentially go long with a stop loss just below, and I would suggest you put it below this previous test here. And you can see the amount of potential upside to go at least above this point. That's the next pivot point to the upside. But the downside, again, if you've limited it with a stop loss, you've got a small potential loss, big potential upside. So let's see what happens with oil. Again, oil is driven by different drivers, both geopolitical and economic. So there's a lot of things to look at there. Gold, again, we did suspect it would drop below this line here. And that was basically, we had regular bearish divergence, which told us the price was going to turn down, which is precisely what it did. Then we got hidden bullish divergence, so this one, the regular bearish tells you of a reversal in price. And that's exactly what happened. Price was going up and it reversed to the downside. Then when you get this hidden bullish divergence, that tells you of a bullish continuation. So the slope of this line is upward. So it's a continuation signal, this one. And it's telling you that from this point, price would go up, which is precisely what it did. But I was warning that when you look at the bigger picture from an Elliott wave perspective, we did have an A wave down, a B wave up, and we expected a C wave down. And I still suspect that we may have a bit lower to go with gold. So maybe inflation worries will subside a little bit because gold is that hedge against inflation. But for whatever reason, I suspect gold will probably dip a bit further to reach this C wave target before we then push again to new all-time highs. And I do expect at the moment this looks corrective. The ABC does look corrective. So I would expect there's new all-time highs to come. We cannot count this as 5. Some people might think you got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is not a valid count because if you had this at 1, 2, 3, 4, wave 4 is not allowed to cross into territory of wave 1. And that's why this cannot be a 5-wave count to the downside. So it's a corrective move to the downside, corrective up because we have 7 waves up, which is corrective. And then we're pushing down in a C wave. So I do think we'll probably see a little bit lower short term in gold, but longer term, it's looking quite bullish. Now, do stop me whenever, Bruce, whenever you want to, but I'll continue, I guess, until you stop me. I trust you're still there, Bruce.
Unmute myself. Yeah, let's go a couple more minutes. I have an interview queued up, but let's continue for like 3 more minutes here. 4 more minutes.
So Litecoin, once again, this went precisely according to expectation. We had basically an ABC wave higher. It could be part of a larger correction. So we get a corrective move down now and then higher again. So this went according to expectation. This was what we labeled as the stop loss zone. And once again, it's because price didn't close on a daily basis for a long, long time, right back since, since March. And we've had many tests of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, I won't count them. There's dozens of tests to and within this stop loss zone. So this is an area where price has not managed to close below for a long, long time. So from risk reward perspective, Litecoin is looking good. If we ever approach this line again, it's looking good for a buy with a stop loss below. We can see we spiked only once just below this stop loss zone. So this sort of area is an area where price tends to reverse. And the reason it's important moving forward is this is where there is genuine support for Litecoin at the moment because we've seen it tested over and over and over again, and it's failed to stay within this lower price area, and it's always pushed higher. So this is a good area for support. Bruce has mentioned DXY, dollar index, and as he said, I think the day before we had a big plus day on dollar index, which was in tune with the markets going down. We're seeing a bit of weakness at the moment on dollar index. I actually expect from the dollar index point of view that we could see lower. I'm expecting this is basically an ABW, ABX, ABY to the downside, and the Y wave here itself is made up of an ABC as well. So I'm expecting most likely we see some continued downside. So I still think there's a bit of potential further downside risk. And I see that across the board. Just very quickly to summarize before Bruce goes into the interviews. Bitcoin, potentially more downside to reach the C wave. Ethereum, I've got that. Yeah, potentially more downside here to reach the C wave, wave 4. So there's 2 of them lined up. Solana is also lined up potentially for lower with Solana, but also looking at the SPX, that's S&P 500, again, potentially lower. So it's highly correlated here with Bitcoin. So at the moment, it's looking as though we're going to see a little bit more downside in the markets across the board, in those risk markets. So just a time to be cautious. I'm not saying sell, I'm not saying go short, I'm just saying be aware. We've got big news coming out, and just watch for a bit more of the sell-off. But I still think we're going to head to new all-time highs on most of these markets. So overall, reasonably positive, except maybe not for Genacoin. But other than that, it's looking good.
Yeah, that's the memes. When it goes through, and also, it goes to show you too, when you're up 3x on something, it's probably time to sell.
Yeah, I mean, if you're up 3x on something, obviously take out your original, maybe leave the rest, because 3x can turn into 100x. You never know. So as long as you get your original capital back, and that's the way to trade meme coins as far as I'm concerned, they've got potential for 100x, even 1000x. So yeah, if you get in there, if you get 3x, take your original out, leave the rest to run. You could end up a multimillionaire. Who knows?
That's exactly right. Wise words from our friend Matt Dixon. Always a pleasure, brother.
Yeah, real pleasure for me too. Thanks for listening. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the show. Catch you later.
All right, cheers. So I have queued up here, guys. I have Hunter Rogers. I'll just so I have Hunter Rogers. Hunter Rogers is this guy is absolutely great. We had a great time talking as well, and he's a lot of fun. So he's working for the Tron DAO. Tron is one of those. It's one of those coins, and it has a really charismatic leader, Justin Sun, that everybody knows, and it can be a lot of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and play this interview here. Hunter, you get the first one, the first interview from Consensus, because it was so fun. All right, we're digging good here. Okay, you guys ready? Drop myself out of here.
Oh, well, I'm retarded. Hey there. What's up?
We're back.
We are back.
We're so back.
We're so back. Oh, bulls up. There we go.
We're here at Consensus 2024, having a great time. I just got pulled over by a great handler that he has for Hunter Rogers. He has his own handler. Okay.
Yes, that's true.
He's Tron Senior Eco Dev and Investment Lead. He's a really cool guy.
I try. It takes a lot of coffee. It's very nice to be here. This guy's awesome. And yeah, my name is Hunter, a Senior Eco Dev / Investment Lead of Tron DAO.
Well, Tron is such an interesting project. First of all, the leader he's such a character.
He is. Justin Sun himself, which is why I have this outfit on now. We call it the Sunzie. It's the Justin Sun onesie. I got matching pants. I mean, I got it all. I wear it to every single conference, but we're here at Consensus in Austin, Texas. It's been a blast. It's just day one, but it's been phenomenal.
It has been phenomenal. Absolutely. It always is. And, this time around, I think more than ever, the U.S. is really in focus as new legislation and everything comes forward. And just a bit more on the funny stuff. So Justin Sun, I always once you're on like a billboard, it's like great. So we were on a billboard. If you guys know us, you watch the show. We were on a billboard a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And it was nice. And my brother and I were on there. We kept up there. And then Justin Sun, he buys the huge billboard on the top. All the way.
He does. We do it in Times Square. If you go to any events, Token 2049, like Singapore, if you even leave the New York airport and you're driving to go anywhere, you'll see a big billboard with him on my shirt. He's like,
sir, or his honorable or something.
His Excellency.
His Excellency,
Justin Sun. That is right. It's fantastic. He loves to go big. The marketing is always phenomenal. You'll see either his face doing this, or you'll see the Tron Bowl, or you'll see the logo, but we like to go big. We believe in marketing and just spreading awareness about not just Tron blockchain. We're very chain agnostic, but everything involving cryptocurrencies and blockchain. We're bullish on the entire industry. We know that blockchain is the future.
Blockchain is the future. Well, it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's one of my favorite ways to send USDT, right? If you have to send USDT, last thing, I mean, I guess the fees are a little lower now than they used to be, but still it's like $1 or whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable for sure. So Tron,
send like $500,000.
It's pretty cheap.
$1.
It's very cheap. And for Tron, what's fantastic about our blockchain is if you stake your TRX, the transactions are actually free. So that's a very, very good use case of Tron blockchain. But for Tether specifically, if you go to Tether's website, go to the transparency page, you'll see at the very top, Tron blockchain is the #1 most used for Tether. We have about $58 billion on Tron chain alone and growing every day.
Well, that's pretty interesting. So tell me about, I think our viewers will find that interesting.
Yeah.
How do you get no fees now? How does that work?
So for Tron, because we're delegated proof of stake, so like Bitcoin's proof of work, you can mine it. Ethereum became proof of stake, so you can buy Ethereum, stake it. Tron, it's DPoS, which is delegated proof of stake, meaning we have 27 elected super representatives, which are helping to manage the blockchain that are voted in by the community members. And if you take your TRX and you freeze it and you vote for the representative, any representative you'd like, when your TRX is staked, then you get free transactions. You get so many per day. So if you're doing, whether it be normal transactions like sending Tether or doing anything involving smart contracts, it's called energy and bandwidth. But basically, you stake your TRX, you get free transactions, which is a very good incentive. So now you get the fast transactions for free.
That's pretty cool. So how does somebody get a job like yours? I mean, it seems Seems pretty cool.
It is a pretty cool job. So, I mean, Tron is a very big team. We have a lot of people in Singapore, like Beijing, Hong Kong, everywhere. We all like work remote. We're all just community members supporting the, like, I would say the movement of the entire, let's say, blockchain industry. But for Tron itself, we're always on the lookout for like people that are active in the community, people making tweets, people that are supportive. We have community members that are he's walking around here now. He's got a big tattoo of Tron on his chest. Like, it's impressive. His name is Trav. We have community members that are building great projects. They enter into a hackathon. We call it the Hackatron. We give away millions of dollars in prizes. Season 6 just ended. Season 7 starts in July. If you have a project in your building and you want to get involved, one good way to get hired, we love to hire from, let's say, within the community. So we had a past Hackatron winner. They submitted a project. They won tens of thousands of dollars in prizes. We did marketing initiatives. We helped grow their DApp. But one of the team members, he's very, very smart. So we just hired him on as a dev. And I was working on a BitTorrent layer 2. So if you want to get, let's say, brought on to the Tron DAO or any great project, it doesn't matter which blockchain, just be active, be involved, like be in the community, make some good tweets, like get out there, go to the conferences, meet the team, wear the swag, like just have fun, get involved. And that's how you get literally brought on board. If you want to get into the industry, just get out there and have some fun.
Well, it's really cool, man. It's kind of like the old style.
Yeah.
Right?
Get out there, shake some hands,
used to be, right?
go to dinners. Yeah, just have a decent Twitter following. Just wear the sweat. Don't get a tattoo, I guess, if you want. Like, just get out there. Like, everyone.
Or just wear a onesie. With,
I have the Sunzy on. This works. Justin's seen it. Just get out there and have a good time. And really, you'll be very surprised at how far it can go.
Well, you know, the community is the most important part of any chain. Like,
It really is.
You
Community
have
is
to have a
everything.
community.
Like,
People have to use it.
It's literally, the community means everything. The community, sometimes like the hype and the motivation around it, like Doge doesn't have a project, but everybody loves Doge. I even have a Doge. I don't know if you can see it. I got a Doge backpack on. Everybody loves Doge. And it's like, what are they building? I don't know if they're building anything, but it's like, but everybody loves Doge. It's a great project. It's a great meme, and it brings a lot of people into the industry. So it's really, community is everything. You don't even have to have the best project or the best product or the best service. It's all about awareness around what you're doing, or a good cause, or just getting your community united for one good common goal, and you can really make an impact.
Amazing. So you've been in crypto for about 9 years?
9 years, going on 10. I mean, I started when I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
I made my first like 6 figures when I was 22, and then I started traveling all over the world. I went to Bali, went to Japan, Amsterdam, many different countries, just to like get more involved and go to these conferences.
Of course, yeah.
And when I started going to these conferences, I'm like, wow, like everybody here, they're all like, they want to decentralize the web. They want to bring blockchain to the masses. Like, they want, exactly. It's like, we really have, it's not just about, let's say, getting involved in a project and making money and going to parties. It's really about making a difference, showing the real value that we can actually bring to anybody and everybody. And honestly, it just makes sense. And that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Well, you're already passionate about it. Everybody's always like, Bruce, your energy's so high, so great. Then, you know, steps in Roger's like, here, hold my beer. You know?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I'm here. I'm around. I love to have fun. I love to get connected. We go to all the different events, all the different major conferences. We were just in Washington, D.C., here at Consensus. Next is going to be, we're hosting a huge event in Madrid, but then there's Bitcoin Nashville. Any major crypto conference, the Tron team has a presence. We got the best swag. We got this little plushie here. It's our bull. You can see the face is the T in Tron, because we're very bullish on the whole industry. We got so many cool, like, different backpack swag. We got it all. So come on out. We'd love to meet you. Love to get connected and have some fun.
With that, I think, you know, thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
How do people find you? What's your handle?
So my own personal Twitter handle, it's at @IBeatWallStreet. So you can DM anytime, or to make it easy, follow @TronDAO. It's the Tron DAO official Twitter. DM it anytime. It'll come straight to me. I'll follow up. I'll show you literally anything and everything you need to get connected, how to get involved, have a great time, and just really just make a difference. We're here to decentralize the web and make the world a better place.
Thanks so much for coming
Very
on.
nice to meet you. You guys are the best. Great podcast, great interview. You're amazing. Thank you so much, and hope to hear from you soon.
We'll see you soon.
Well, there you go. Hunter Rogers, what a fun guy. And, you know, it actually just goes to show you as well how you can get involved in this space and really make your own way, right? I mean, we have here at Consensus, we have the suits they're going around, they're doing their deal. You know, the New York Stock Exchange actually in New York Stock Exchange and CoinDesk indices to launch financial products tracking spot Bitcoin prices. You have the big suits are here. We have the New York Stock Exchange president here, and then you have guys like Hunter Rogers that's going around and building the ecosystem. And what he is doing for Tron is very valuable. It's really valuable. It's made me look at Tron again and think, well, shoot, man, that might be interesting to build on. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. That might be an interesting community to be a part of. And that's really what it's all about. I mean, in the end, people have to use the currency, right? If people are not using the cryptocurrency, then you really don't have anything. And if people are using it, then you have something. And that's the way it works. So it was fun. That was a really fun interview. We have some other great ones as well. Some with suits and some with some other people, but it's been a lot of fun. We have our gala tonight. So we're super excited about the gala. Let me just pull that up right here. We're almost out of time, but I can add it back to the screen. So our gala is tonight. There are still some tickets for the paid, okay? And it does go to support the proceeds go to support our disabled sporting initiatives. I also wanted to give a shout out to our sponsors of the event, Genus AI. The interviews you see me recording, I'm doing them right in front of the Genus AI booth. That's GNUS.ai. Really great. We had actually Ken on the show, Ken Hurley. He's a great guy. He's doing a really good job there. That booth was popping. That booth was popping really the whole time. Pretty interesting what they have going on there. As well, Smart Money Culture. Smart Money Culture TV. We are on the Smart Money Culture TV network right now on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana. Pacio, and he is Smart Money Fly Mackey is here. We will be talking with him here tonight at the gala, and he's going to be on the conference floor as well today. Pacio, our friends at Pacio. Pacio is enabling transactions to go from phone to phone, and not these really long addresses that I always say my wife is never going to send. My wife's never going to send money to some long or digital coins to some long address. So far, I've been right for 10 years. So Pacio as well, and they will be here. And Exit Designer Token. These guys are doing a really great job. They've built an entire mall. Actually, they have a business itself with a lot of people in it, and doing, I believe, different types of marketing there. And they've built this designer mall where you can spend your Exit tokens. Some massive market cap that they have right now. But we have Raman here, and he's going to let us know more about that too. Super excited about it. We'll sit down with Raman. We'll do an interview while we're here at Consensus. So those are the main sponsors. There are still some tickets, but go ahead and get yourself a gala ticket right here, okay? And it's not some of these. It's not one of these cheap galas where you have to worry about getting fed or anything like that. We have a nice 3-course meal here at the JW Marriott. So super excited about that. I always like to get a really nice venue where we don't have to worry about things. And the JW has been an absolute pleasure to work with. That is for sure. So that is this evening. Starts the cocktail reception, or the champagne toast cocktail reception starts at 6 p.m. And then we'll push through. We have some great entertainment lined up and all the things that you would expect for one of our nice galas that we have here. So we're excited about that. Also, hats off, I want to say, to Consensus. Consensus has been really great to work with. We're a marketing partner here at Consensus, and they've been real professionals, exactly what you would expect for them to be. But as well, join us tonight if you can for the Washington Elite Gala. We're really looking forward to that, and that is going to be absolutely awesome. So, my friends, we've done it again. Another great show. I really enjoy doing the shows. I know Matt Dixon really enjoys doing the shows. I do think that we're going to have a little bit more of a pullback, as Matt mentioned, in the markets before we push forward. They're going to do, this with the dollar. I think as these numbers come out over the next couple of days, of course, as they always do, they're going to stack these numbers. Not financial advice and all that jazz. I put it on my X account. It's not financial advice. Paid post, not financial advice. Okay, full disclosure. But I think that that will continue. I think that we'll pull back and then push. But I think that the Fed, the central bank, which is privately held, but the Fed, the Federal Reserve, is going to they're going to continue printing money, and so that's going to make inflation go up. I think that there's not that much else that they can do to keep the market kind of moving and liquid. And that is one thing about fiat money, paper money, that you can do, and you can print it up and you can send it out. And the reality of it is, when that happens, when they print it up and send it out, it's just taxing you. I mean, they're just taxing you, and they're flooding it into the economy. And that can have good results in the economy, even if it has bad results for you. Anyhow, I'm signing off. We'll be working all day. See you guys in a few hours. And on your TVs in a few hours, and again live. Cheers.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future.